So who's missing? Narni, is that it?
That's right.
Okay. I just a little note just before now. Of course, those of you who worked with me, you're aware of the importance of being on time. It's a part of an actor's conditioning himself, because unlike the other arts where you can create and work at any moment that you're inspired, painting, composing, playing the piano, doing all that, an actor's creation takes place at a specific time and a specific place. And that hasn't changed since your profession began 2,500 years ago, right? In ancient Greece, right? The comedies were put on at sunrise and the tragedies at sunset. The rising and the setting of the sun was the lighting of the performance. So just imagine actors standing usually in ancient Greek theater in front of huge bronze doors, because bronze reflected the light, waiting for the first rays of light to come up. And when the first rays of light came up, that's when the performance had to begin. That hasn't changed to this day, right? When the stage manager says curtain, the film director says action, that's when it's got to be there. See? So the actor conditions himself to know to be there always at a specific time. This person is late, but we'll start now anyway, okay? So you grasped on that first level the basic use of yourself in terms that the work, in a sense, it's a subconscious process, and that it's all based on action, right? Not feelings. The feelings, like in life, are a consequence of action, okay? Now, the second level has to do with the difference between working on stage as an actor and what is the difference of working in film. In terms, when I say that, what is it that the actor has to know or not know? The difference in working as an actor on stage and in working in front of a camera. What would you say the difference is?
The difference is the camera. The camera is your audience.
Yes, but I know. But what is the difference in terms of the work?
It's
yeah.
Life. Theater is life.
Yeah.
Actually,
You hope it's life, but
yeah,
go ahead.
correct.
Let me give you an example. The audience, subconsciously, they know the difference. They can't explain it. Just like in a bullfight, they know when they watch a bullfight that the toreador is either a coward or he's brave or he takes risks. They don't have to know anything about the training of a bullfighter, but they can sense in the result what happened and what the challenges are. Ironically enough, they can do that. They do that in terms of stage and film, you know, without knowing that they do it. So I was in a taxi in Paris once, and the taxi driver asked me what I did. So I told him that I was a director, writer, and a teacher of acting. He said to me, oh my God, he said, what happened? In my day, he said, there would be actors like Louis Jouvet, you know, Harry Bauer. They could act on stage and in film, on both. Today, you got these actors that are doing movies, but let them get on stage and act. Impossible, you know. It's really amazing difference, you know. One of the greatest performances given in film was in The Bicycle Thief. The actor was not an actor, never acted before, right? The little boy never acted before, wonderful. And I saw a film about De Sica where the actor is playing a part and he told the story about the little boy, about what happened. He said, what happened? He said, well, what happened, he said, the boy was crying when his father went to look for the bicycle. He said, you know what he did? De Sica did before the shot? he went up to the little boy, reached into his pocket, and took out a cigarette butt. And the little boy broke down crying because he had nothing to do with it. It was planted. But the seeker got what he wanted. A more contemporary example was this. In Baby Doll, I was on the set because my ex-wife played the leading part in it. And so this is the scene where Baby Doll turns against her husband out of frustration and turns on him violently, screaming and crying, okay? So we're up on a high platform, right? Our platform, watching the scene. Kazan whispers something in her ear, and then he gets up and he says to the cameraman, he says, just hold it until I tell you. Roy said, of course, until I tell you, roll it. We're up there, and he told the actress, he told Kat, nod your head when you're ready. Now we're up there, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, no head nod, okay? So he runs back, goes back, whispers something in her ear, right? Comes back again, waits for the nod. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We all thought, okay, this is Kazan's Waterloo, okay? And so he turns to the cameraman and he says, now listen, I'm gonna just say something to her. Don't wait for me to say action or roll it. As soon as I step away from her, roll the camera. He turns to the camera. I'll never forget the cameraman's reaction. He looked at him. He said, I got it, Mr. Kazan. I got it. Like, let's see what happens. Okay. So Kazan goes over, whispers something in her ear, and she breaks down and crying and all that. And he gets his shot. So afterwards, I went up to him and I said, what did you tell her? He said, oh, I told her, don't worry, we're going to cut out the scene. We're going to do another scene. And she broke down. But it's interesting. He didn't just say cry like this nonsense that's taught, cry in general. I mean, there are 1,000 ways of crying. It's a specific action that comes out of a specific need. It wasn't just crying. When he said, well, cut it, he wanted to touch a frustration, something she couldn't do that she had to turn, and out of that came the emotion. Okay, so now, go on stage, right? An actor has to break down over this, and what do? You have attached something, say, okay, hey, the audience is gonna come in, they're gonna leave, meaning in the theater, it's all the actor. Even the greatest directors, right? The whole process of rehearsal is to prepare the actor so it's in his hands. So again, a remarkable film director, again, Elia Kazan. I did a play with Shelley Winters and Pat Hingle on Broadway. We opened out of town, and critics, the reviews were mixed. I was very concerned. We're coming into New York. And so I called Kazan and I asked him to please come up and try to just look at the play and talk to me, okay? The next week, we're going to New York. He came up, saw the play. We went out, we had a coffee. I said, so I'm excited. So Gadge, that was his nickname. What would you tell me? Well, this is what I'd like to tell you, Jack. You know, New Haven has a beautiful lake out there. Just take a walk around the lake in the morning, have a nice breakfast, enjoy yourself. Leave the actors alone now. It's done. So when I gave an example in my acting class in Paris, and I said, no, the point of all art is it reveals life. And a woman said to me, well, Mr. Garfein, that's very interesting, but acting is pretending, yes? Oh, I see, okay, yeah. So I said to her, well, Suppose you're in love with a man and you're uncertain about this man, but you're deeply in love. And you know, you don't even know whether he's going to come back or what's going to happen. You go to bed, you hug the pillow next to you, thinking about him, and you even cry, you break up in tears, and you wake up in the morning, and then your mother or a friend or somebody there and says, what happened? And you say to her, God, I can't tell you. He's with me. I can't stand the idea that I wouldn't have this man. So your friend would say to you, oh, you're pretending. Huh? It's pretending. No. It's living, meaning the whole point of art is that all art, but what makes a work of art, if it's personal, okay? Whether it's painting, film work, music, whatever, has a personal basis, okay? If it's not personal, it's something else, either showing, impressing, or doing something. But the reason it's necessary is because of that, the fact that we need it for that purpose. So a group of directors came to me and they said, Mr. Garfein, we really want to take an acting course with you, but what we'd like to do is take a course in film acting only. So I said, oh, I'll tell you what, 15, 20 minutes and you don't have to pay me, free. What are you talking about? I said, oh, no, I said, I'll explain to you. Let me explain to you about that, the fact that what's important, the difference between film acting and stage acting, okay? Oh, but you have to know sometimes what you do, because if you don't know what you do, it's something difficult. They said, what are you doing? I said, the level of intonation cannot be taught. Impossible to teach a level of intonation, okay? However, for example, in the theater, you have to develop a range in your voice, right? Because there are 500 seats or even 800 seats, right? Not to be louder, but to develop so that I always tell actors, do not go to voice teachers because they make you conscious of your voice. Go to singing teachers in order to develop the range of your voice, okay? So let's say if I'm here and I look at her in a small group here, I say, I love you, okay? Now if there are 100 people, what do? I love you? Or if it's 500, I love you? No, it's not louder, do you understand? It's the range, the fact that I can say, 100 people, I love you. 500, I love you. You understand? It's not being louder, it's to develop the range. In a sense, I wanted them to have the idea that as far as acting is concerned, you had to learn the laws of nature that make emotions and behavior come spontaneously. That's what you see in life. Nobody in life says, oh, I'm not going to be angry with him. Oh, I'm now going to be in love with her. Oh, I got to have this feeling. It happens as a consequence of what you do, right? Mr. Shakespeare did it in one sentence, which they don't even know, you know. Hamlet talked to the players. He said, suit the action to the word and the word to the action, which means the behavior, right? The fact that he writes the words, find the behavior out of which those words come from by themselves, not thinking about it, okay? This is what I want you to do. You are at the table, you know, you talk to the waiters. Either you invited your boyfriend for this reason. You want to get out of the relationship slowly. And you invited him to this restaurant overlooking because it can soften the blow, okay? Or you want a more serious, you want him to get more involved with you. So you want him to be here, you might make him jealous, you might do something in order to draw him closer. What I want you to do is you do that at the table, but do not pay attention to me. The moment you become even slightly aware of my presence immediately draw yourself to the food, to the waiters, or to the person that's there. Now, the person, imaginary, like the waiters are, but you treat them like a real people. You talk the way you would talk to them, okay? And you decide what the real circumstances, don't make it up. Something personal in your life, okay? Where you were in a situation like that. You have to decide where you come from, what happened before you came here, and whoever it is that you're going to meet and see, what will happen afterwards. But if in any way you become conscious of my presence, immediately draw yourself to the person that you're dealing with, to the objects on the table, to the waiters, to anything like that. But you must choose a personal incident, okay? Not something you make up. So, what I'm going to do now is give you a little break to prepare, to think what you're going to do. Then set up the chairs over there for yourself, and then we do it. Okay? Clear what you have to do? Yes? Okay, anybody not ready? Okay, you can begin.
I think I'm probably going to throw to Ruben. I don't know. Yes, but you want the penny of vodka?
I'm waiting for somebody right
Thank you. Yeah. So, I've been here before. The Ruben's really good. That is fantastic. I mean, you're going to, obviously, right? You're going to go and see if you can. Well, why? Okay, definitely weird. How come they're preconceived notions? Sorry. Gosh, I'll just have a relationship. There hasn't been one with him for 10 years or so, longer. And it was my impression that it was over those letters.
Okay. Okay, so who was I?
I think you were the camera.
Camera.
That's right. So, all that's changed in 2,500 years since your profession began is the audience jumped up from the first row and came up to your face. And when it moved right here next to you or looked right like that, do you understand? Meaning, so what does that mean? The same way as in the theater, you have a partner, you have objects that you involve yourself with. Here it means even more involvement with the character, with the object, with the environment. You can't say, I'm going to ignore the camera. That's not possible. That has to happen by itself. It's involving yourself in something else so thoroughly that this goes away. Do you understand? That's the big change that happened, okay? In 2,500 years, okay? But you have to know exactly where you came from, what you're going to do afterwards, and the most important, that it's personal. Because when it's personal, the behavior comes by itself. You don't have to think about, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Chekhov, I'll leave you with that quote before we take a break. Chekhov said, you want to work on your art, work on your life. Okay, so there you have it. Okay, so you noticed that what happened when you noticed me? When you became aware of me for a second, or even of the camera, what happened? What did you do?
We get more immersed in what we're
That's what you did to overcome what? There was a click. Like, oh, camera, oh, Jack, right? And exactly right. What you did was involve yourself more. So I have news for you. There is no such thing as 100% close-up, okay? Meaning, there is always a click. As long as the actor involves himself, as you said, more and more in what he's concerned with, even the greatest genius cannot notice the click when he sees the film. Actors are worried. They think, oh my God, I was aware of the camera, I was aware. But as long as you do that, the greatest genius cannot notice it. So Ingmar Bergman said that the greatest close-up he ever got, he thought it was 100% close-up. He said on Wild Strawberries, after the shooting, he noticed that the actor who played the professor, they were on location, was looking at a stream. And Bergman noticed that the way he was looking at his stream, it's like he absorbed from it the quick passing of his life, how quickly life goes by, just like the stream. He went to the cameraman and he said, pretend that you're wrapping up and keep the camera on him. And he did that. And Bergman said, that's the only 100% close-up I ever got, you know. So you can see, because that's a reality, do you understand? Okay, Kazan once said in the actor's studio that directing is turning psychology into behavior, okay? I thought it's so remarkable that I wrote it above my desk, you know, turning psychology. So, but I always thought, wait a minute, what about acting? Isn't that what the actor does, you know? So I lived with this for maybe 20 years, okay? When Patricia Bosworth was writing a biography on Kazan, and she came to see me in France, wanted to talk to me, and I said, hey, listen, Patricia, I have a question for you. You asked a lot of questions of, sure, what did he say about Brando? What was special about Brando's? Because, you know, with all these stupid exercises they do in class, I can assure you, Brando never did an emotion memory, never did a concentration on an object, never did any of that absolute nonsense, okay? Which is nothing. It's all, first of all, it's general. Even when they do an emotional scene and they cry, you say, well, that's the crying of that. But that's not the way Ophelia cries, if you had to play that part, because, you know, Kazan, and also criticizing Strasberg's exercises in the Tulane Review, said, because according to that theory, if you have an emotional scene, you think of a scene where you were crying or emotionally upset in the middle of the play, and then the emotion comes, okay? And Kazan said, that's ridiculous. I'm playing Macbeth, and in the middle I have to think of a scene from my life in order to have an emotional reaction? How is that possible, you know? And when Strasberg was confronted with that, he said, well, it's an artistic liberty. I mean, a bullshit answer, okay? So I asked her, what did he say about Brando's work that was so remarkable? Because I always wondered why he said this about, oh, Jack, it was interesting. You know what he said? He said, acting, what was great about Brando is his remarkable ability to turn psychology into behavior, okay? So there you have it. Now, you remember, I gave you an assignment at the end to go to a museum in order to bring in, watch a sculpture or painting, because Eleanor Raduza felt that was her great education. Where did you study? I went to see masterpieces of painting and sculpture. Well, what makes a sculpture or a painting a masterpiece? The fact that through the behavior, through what you're seeing, you sense the inner content, meaning the outward form is a reflection of what's going on inside, right? That's what makes it a work of art, okay? So the reason I assigned you that is, and when I told you that films are an outgrowth of painting, right? Remember I told you Rembrandt? Well, you look at great paintings, like for example, look at the work of Rodin, sculpture, and look at the drawings of Goya, okay? Now, you look at every one of those and you know who those people are. You know what's going on inside. Now, mind you, what did those artists do? They said, you can tell through behavior what people are thinking. They found the very specific behavior. And you say, my God, of course, I believe I can see it. The fact that most words are conventional. Hello, how do you do? We talk. Hardly any revelation. It's the poets that come along, and they use words in such a way where we suddenly say, oh my God, of course. Like, for example, you look at it and you say, this is a beautiful day. God, you look at that, the sky is so beautiful. Oh, what a clear, beautiful day. Along comes a character in Shakespeare. He looks up and he says, this fiery firmament, this majestic roof. And you say, of course, that's what it is. Of course, right? Articulates the hidden thoughts, the subconscious things that are in us. Van Gogh, right? Paints Starry Night, not like a postcard, oh, little stars, just like this, fiery. You look at it and say, of course, that's what it is. You can see the articulation and the fact that why it's important for actors and directors to, and Medusa did it. She felt that's where she learned. That was her way of studying. She was watching masterpieces of painting and sculpture and said, ooh, what's going inside that's reflected in that expression and that behavior, right? So not just the assignment that I gave you, but you should be going and like by all means, take all the Goya, look at all the Goya sketches. They are astonishing that way. The set is correct now in terms of filming. You understand? But now, come. Sit over there. When I turn around and I walk in, the scene begins and there's a relationship between us, okay? I just want to know, where were you at 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon? You got to think, right? You got to think. That's your answer? You can't get, oh, yeah, go ahead. Do your act. Yeah, oh, come on. What are you horsing around with me for, okay? Shit. Yeah, you still don't have the answer. You got to think of the right one, right? You got to think of the one that I'll accept. That's what it is, right? Okay, forget it. Just fuck it. Forget the fucking thing. Okay, very good, okay. Now, give her a hand here. Just set up the set on an angle. Okay, but give her a hand here.
Which angle? Which angle?
This one? No.
Like that.
Yeah.
You know, we always play this bloody game, okay? So I just want to know something, okay? What? Where the fuck were you at 5 o'clock yesterday?
Where could I be?
Gestures. How about an answer instead of fucking gestures, huh? Oh. That's the answer I always get from you, huh? Answer I always get. Damn fucking.
What's your problem?
You know goddamn well what my problem is, okay? You know goddamn fucking well what my problem is, but boy, do you know how to hide it and not deal with it, okay? Forget it. Let's fucking forget it. It's okay.
Where are you going?
I'm going, that's it, okay? Okay, good. Okay, well done. Okay, now you can put your set back the way it was. So tell me, what was the difference when the set was straight like this and when it was on an angle? What was the difference?
It allowed
freedom.
You what?
It allowed you more freedom
What do you mean? What kind of
to
freedom?
be seen, to be able to move and be seen.
To be seen, in a sense, the other was railroad, okay? By doing that, of course, I could be in front of her too, perfectly okay, but if it's on an angle, I would be like this in front of her, because the thing would be like that, which means on the stage, the maximum you can see of an actor is 3/4. But the actor can't think, oh, I'm showing 3/4. He's a character, he's not an actor. So the sets are set up, he can move anywhere, but it's set up on an angle, so no matter where he is, you have a sense of both actors. In film, the camera picks the angle. Do you understand? It can be exactly the way it is in life, and the camera is the one that picks the angle. You don't have to make that kind of adjustment. So now what I'm going to do is meet with the actors individually to give you some circumstances, okay? The first ones are going to be Philip and Mukumba, okay? Well, I'll give you the circumstances. You make them your own. What I mean by that, if I say, well, I have a brother that you love, but you don't have a brother, but you have somebody who's like a brother to you. Do you understand? Now, I will not ask you to tell me who the people are, what the, that's your own thing, but you have to make it personal in order for that to work, okay? So here are the circumstances. So you never knew your father. And when you were about 5 years old, your mother was sent to a mental hospital, and you hardly ever saw her because they didn't want you to see her in a certain state. Now, the only thing you discuss with her is she has to tell you the place, okay? She has to tell you where the place is, so you know, and you're already in it, so you can add things of your own to the place. Then, the only thing you talk about is some of the plays you've done before you met her, the name of her series, okay? The name of the present agent, the name of the analyst, and the name of some of the scripts. So you met Nana and about 4 years ago. And she considers you like her best friend. But what happens is every time she gets involved with men, it's like a very destructive relationship. Always is hurt or in pain, you know. The problem in your life has been you've never been able to really connect on a deep level with a man. You know, it's always fallen apart, goes up to a certain point and it falls apart. You usually come sometimes, you know, upset, running to him and telling him what happened.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Can I get you something?
Oh, I don't know. Okay.
Oh, I know you're okay, but can I get you something?
How are you? Are you okay?
I'm well.
Today's our anniversary. He was supposed to come home at 8, and he didn't. And he promised me he was going to be there. And he said he was going to meet his mom before, and I called his mom, and some lady answered, I don't know who, but she was like, Shade hasn't been here all night. And then I hear his mom in the fucking background, and then she's like, oh, no, 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 no. He has his mother lying for him.
But eventually something will click for you and you won't need to come here late at night anymore. I mean, something will go some way different. Either you'll meet some man who kills you or do something different. But I mean, you'll do something different, then you won't come here. It's how everybody is. People do
I'll
something
always
for a
come
while.
here. You're my friend. That's not like, you sound super just dark right now. Like I don't, like you keep saying that you're fine and that you're not upset, but like this isn't you. Like you're, I just feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just very, I don't know,
So
maybe it's
you
my head.
so
Okay, okay, excellent, just embrace. Now, so when I say that an actor has an impulse, okay, the actor is always the final judge of his impulse. Do you understand? So if I say something like that, you have to say, did that happen or didn't it happen, okay? I sensed that you had the impulse at times to want to go up to him close or to even touch him, okay? And that you felt because of the direction of the scene that you were told you didn't give in to that impulse. Do you understand? You stopped because you thought, no, but the scene is supposed to be this. But the actor always goes with his impulse. Do you understand? But I did feel that number of times now, you dealt with it even. You wanted to know, you wanted him to reveal. That was excellent what you did in the scene, excellent. Just the one element that I felt that when you saw that he was touched and moved, and what did you sense from him? What did you really sense?
I sense that he wanted something more,
Like what?
like to be the guy.
To be loved, and that you had it in you. And you, I felt that was correct. I saw that. And because of that, at one point there was the sense, well, you did feel it. You know, you wanted to go with that. But you stopped it. I think you only stopped it because it's nothing wrong with the acting, do you understand? Because of the way the scene was outlined, that's what you came for, that you felt you had to stay with that rather than the impulse that you had to go to him. That was just wonderful, excellent what he did, see? And also in your case, just superb now, really. The relationship, what happened with the man, that's why I asked you. I knew you sensed that. I could see that you sensed that he wanted something else, and that in some way you were drawn to that, but you held back, okay? Very good. So for tomorrow, you reverse scenes, okay?